What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unplayable. Today we got a bunch of news about the, what are they called? Planetary
Planetary
Qualifiers. I
Qualifiers,
will
yeah.
never remember what they're actually called. Never, not a single time. But I'm here with Jim, and we're gonna run you guys through what you need to know about the Planetary Qualifiers and maybe some of our thoughts on what prizes exist and how the whole thing is structured and all of that. So, Jim, you ready to talk about this?
Let's do it.
This
Love
thing?
some organized play.
Sweet. All right. So I guess first bit of info is that there are 40 of these things for set two, but for set three and beyond, they're increasing the number of these that exist. And we already knew that, but I don't know. Good to hear it again. Good to have it reinforced because
Definitely.
they all seemingly sold out incredibly quickly. And yeah, just good that they're putting a little bit more effort into making sure that people who want to attend these can attend these because they are meant to be the first level of the competitive organized play
Right.
thing.
Yeah, with a lot of the things they've even claimed for the game starting out is they took a little bit of a conservative approach to estimates of how popular would competitive play even be, and just seemed to be absolutely blown out of the water. And they even conservative in our book is actually like the most they've ever done. And so
Right.
it makes sense that this one was less total numbers to make sure that they all got filled out. But I mean, it was instantly. I actually wasn't able to sign up for a planetary qualifier. Everything in my region got just booked up so
Oh, wow.
fast, which is a bummer, but it's a cool problem to have. So yeah, very excited to hear that they're tripling that number
Yeah.
for set three, and hopefully that also means overseas and not just in America, and actually has a little more flexibility for all of the player base that. I mean, it really is a worldwide game, which is so exciting.
Definitely. Cool. Well, let's get into the specifics of what you get if you do well in the planetary qualifiers. It is an event with, I think, up to 128 players, I believe. And
I
so,
think all of them are supposed to be 128. Yes.
which is a lot. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of rounds of Star Wars Unlimited. So the hope is that the prizes are exciting and worth spending your entire day playing Star Wars Unlimited for. So let's take a look at them. So I guess the first thing that they mentioned, which we also already knew, but they really doubled down on it and tried to sell it as being a really exciting thing, is that you get to skip to day 2 of the Galactic Championships if you win the event. And we don't really know exactly what that means yet, because we don't know like what the Galactic Championships really is.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's interesting because I'm not sure, okay, how many actually make it through day one? Like, is it like if there's 40 PQ winners, let's say they assume 30 will show up and collect their day 2 pass, even if it's all 40, is day 2 just like 64 and they just cut to that? And
Well, it's going to be a lot more than that, right? Because
has to be.
it'll be 40 from this set, and then 150 from the next set, and then
Oh, that's right.
right? Because
That's right.
if the Galactic Championships happens next summer, there'll probably be like 5 sets out at least by then. So
Wow.
you've got to figure there's 150. There's like 650-ish people that are going to have these buys. I guess somebody could win multiple, and then there's fewer total, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's where it's like, well, what does day 1 actually even mean?
Yeah.
Is it however many we have? It's just cut to the next clear break.
Do
So it's
like the top 8
158,
of day 1 get into the day 2? Like, is it that
yeah,
crazy?
or is it everybody and their brother gets into day 2, and day 1 actually doesn't really mean anything, and
Yeah.
your prizes? So that's where it's tricky of a balance of. It should be a great prize, one that shows like, yeah, that you deserve to have a seat at the table. So we're definitely looking for some clarity there as far as
Yeah.
what does this mystical skip actually do for you.
For sure. Like, it seems cool that they're doing it, and I think it's in lieu of tournament points, because something like this would normally award tournament points in a regular season, and this is season 0, as they've said. But
Yeah.
we also, like, one of my hangups about this is that we don't know what the Galactic Qualifier prizes, or sorry, not Galactic Qualifiers was Destiny. All these names are confusing as hell. I'm sorry. The World Championships, we don't know like what the pricing is for that, or like why I would care to skip to day 2. other than just like, oh, like I want to be the world champion. But it feels like a pretty nebulous thing. And I would like, I don't know, for me to get really excited about that, I need to be really excited about the specific things that I can win or earn by doing well at that event.
Yeah.
So looking forward to finding out what that is.
I think because it's a little bit more ambiguous as well, it's hard for me to justify like traveling really far for one of these events. Like,
Sure.
I was thinking like, oh man, do I go to Chicago? I live in Kentucky, so it's like, do I go to Chicago? Do I go to Indianapolis? But that's a big ask for what's going on. And it's like, when I don't know what does that actually do for me, as well as, okay, then I have to wait to see what the prizes are. Well, I've already missed the boat to try to even sign up for one of these now that I know what the prizes are. So I was having to go in blind to try to get it. So yeah, it was a bit tricky, and I know there's a lot of like training wheels and learning as we go, but it's a little bit tough with the timing of those announcements.
Yep, makes sense. All right, well, let's move on from something that we don't know to the things that we do know are part of this tournament kit. So the first thing that they showed off was this Planetary Qualifier Champion mat. So if you win the event, in addition to the buy at the Galactic Championship, I said it right that time, you get this playmat.
I mean, the box art is sick.
Yeah.
It looks, the art is amazing on this mat. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't disagree that the art is great. I love the art. What I don't love is the gigantic Planetary Qualifier Champion stamp on the front. That takes up, I don't know, 5 times more space than I think it should. I personally am a big fan of the mats that they've done up until this point, which is sort of like, if you know, you know, in terms of like where it came from. It's not, I don't know. I feel like the text sort of takes away from the mat and doesn't really add anything to it. Like, if you're playing this game, you're going to know where this mat came from. And even if you don't know where the mat came from, like, you could easily find out, even if it didn't have the gigantic champion typeface thing on it. It's also got the symbol, their Planetary Qualifier symbol at the top right. So like that feels like enough.
Yeah.
So,
or even if it just said champion under that, like
in
almost
very small letters. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that making sense too.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm thinking about is the amount of times D House busts out his top 8 medal to just absolutely flex on us because it says top 8 on it.
For sure. I mean, some people might love this, right? Like I think that's where I'm coming from. But if you want this because it says champion in gigantic letters, I also get that. I just really liked the clean sort of like barely any branding whatsoever on the mats, like the armorer mat that we got, the finalizer mat at Gen Con, like those didn't have any gigantic, like we know gigantic letters that say content creator on it at the bottom. Like it just seems like it'd be super lame, right? So I wish that I wasn't there, but if you like it, I'm not here to take that away from you, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I dig it. Like I said, I just wish I could have this mat in general. I wish this was one that you could just buy because it matches the set itself, and it'd be fun to have a little mat collection of each of the sets. Where I've liked what they've chosen as far as like what artworks they've picked for the easy to buy mats. It's been really cool, but this one in particular, just representing the set as a whole.
That's a great point. Yeah, I'm surprised that these aren't purchasable mats. To be fair. Okay, well, let's move on to the next thing that we know that we're going to get out of these kits, and that is the promo legal authority card. There are 64 participation promos and 4 judge promos of legal authority. What do you want to get into first? I guess.
Let's go card selection first.
Sure.
Okay. Have you ever played this card in a competitive deck?
Not a single time.
Okay. Yeah, same. I've tried. Xander said he's pulled it off. Now I want to talk to him about, okay, where'd you put this? Not saying that it can't be done.
I think like it's a cool card, but it, in my opinion, like it lacks the gravitas that a card requires for an event like this. I guess in the first store showdown season we had Takedown, which is, I don't know, maybe like a similarly generic seeming card, but it was widely played and still is. This card is not. I mean, it's hard because like, maybe the playtesting that went on among the devs told them that this card was going to be really popular. And, turns out that like in real life, it's not. Like maybe that's the decision that was made there. Maybe something else. Maybe they had this extra piece of art lying around and they were like, we got to come up with a card that this goes on. Yeah, I don't know exactly why this card was chosen, but it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't excite me.
So what were the 2 cards chosen for the store showdowns for set 2? Unrefusable Offer was the...
Yeah, Lady Proxima and Unrefusable Offer.
Yeah, so I think that's where it's also a little tricky, because outside of direct Underworld decks that are like trying to go like weirdly aggro, like you're not playing Lady Proxima's.
Yeah, I've never seen those in an actual like premiere.
I have also tried to use Unrefusable Offer, and I cannot figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
So, but set 2 is awesome. There's so many cards in set 2 that are extremely playable.
I know.
That are, like, I would love to have play sets of in a cool like alt art ability to flex on people.
Yeah.
And so I understand like capture is a huge mechanic piece of this set. So they were trying to find something with capture abilities on there. But yeah, it just seems kind of strange.
Yeah, I agree. And then let's talk about the fact that there's 64 of these.
What are we doing?
We already mentioned that the events are 128 person cap. So you're telling me that only half of the people get the participation promos. That feels bad.
Yeah. Like the fact that I have to sweat it out just to even get something. And we don't know what they've shared with the stores, if they're supposed to be like pack support for everybody that signed up. But I believe it was $40 to enter.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So yeah, that's where I'm like, man, $40 to potentially walk out of there with nothing. But I'm like, this is the participation is one of these cards. Like,
yeah, it like we'll talk about the next one too. But
Sure.
I'm signed up to play at one of these in San Francisco, which is about 2-hour drive for me.
Yeah.
And these prizes are not making me want to actually like make that trip.
Right.
But let's talk about the next one, and then we can.
Okay.
We can talk a little bit.
About this is, my take is honestly, why are we not getting play sets of these cards to actually get to utilize in a deck?
Mm-hmm. That's fair too.
Scratch that like deck building idea itch, because now it's not even a uniform thing. Like at best case scenario, you're getting one copy of these if you play good enough or well enough, and then you don't even get to like actually have a play set. So it's like you're not going to see these in people's decks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for this card, like maybe it's easier because people will sell them for cheap because nobody plays it. But imagine this was a card that is super popular, and it's played in 50% of decks or something like that. Because of how few of these events exist, like it's it'd be pretty expensive to get a full play set of a card like this.
Could be.
Which I think is like, I think is okay, like as long as there was value in the card. But it feels like this card is not going to be that highly valued and sought after by players because nobody really plays it.
If there's 40 PQs, that means there's roughly 2,500 of these floating around in the world.
Which is not a lot.
Times 4.
Not a lot at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. So getting placed is actually cool. It's hard to do, but I don't know.
All right. Well, next couple things we've got the placement prize card, which is Dr. Evazan. And, it's in the OP frame and foil, and same as what you've seen for the store showdowns for those cards. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's going to be nitpicky, but it's funny that they picked like 2 yellow cards, like 2 cunning cards.
That's true.
Like Unrefusable Offer, and then now Dr. Evazan as the like big prizes for winning for set 2. So there's no representation for red or blue because Proxima is just a gray card.
Yeah.
So that part's interesting to me. The card itself, it's a rare. So, it's at least some sort of, you're not seeing this card 24/7. And it's kind of playable, but it's also one that like isn't intuitively playable. Like a lot of people see that bounty and they're like, "That's awful.
Like,
Why would I ever want to do that?"
Yeah.
So I do play it a lot in like Boba Yellow when I'm running that deck list as like a quick turn 1, like stabilize the board. I can utilize it, but I don't know. Just an interesting. If they're not doing legendaries, I'm okay with the idea. I wish they would.
Yeah, I think that's my big. Well, okay, that's one of my big issues with this is that set 1 store showdowns, we got Mace Windu.
Yeah.
And that was both a legendary and like one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars. And that like led to a huge amount of demand for store showdowns and for that Mace Windu, and people I think really liked that. I don't understand why they wouldn't do a legendary for an even bigger, more competitive, more exciting event. And then on top of that, like if you're not going to do a legendary, at least do a character that people are going to be excited about. So I would prefer.
That's Mike. He was the doctor right before this.
Yeah.
He's like, A New Hope, and I go,
Yeah,
he
sure.
goes, Episode 4, and I go,
So like I think like Snoke would have been great for this. The Dark
my
Saber would have been
gosh.
great for this. Poe would have been great for this. Like there's so many cards that they could have picked that would have gotten people, you know, way more hyped to participate in this and try and win this. And even if they refuse to do a legendary for some reason, which I think is ridiculous, especially given the precedent that they set in set 1 for the store showdown, like do Maul. He's a rare, and everybody loves Maul, and he's super good. So it's like they had options. They had much better choices for both of these cards, and it is definitely a bit disappointing to see the selection of these, especially like already being a bit disappointed in the selection for the store showdown cards. I would have expected these to be like way cooler than they are. And honestly, like I think that this card frame is okay, but it almost like for this type of event feels like it warrants something cooler than this. You know what I would have loved to see is like really cool bases. Even if they were just generic bases, like 30 health bases, have like hyperfoil, like 30 health bases, because I think like those are useful in every single deck somewhere, you know, in your Star Wars Unlimited career. And being able to get like really sick versions of like cards that you have literally on the table all the time seems like a really cool way to go. Like maybe you're even like, I don't know if you remember like the Galactic Qualifier for Star Wars Destiny, you could get like really cool spot gloss like leaders. If they had those in like bases, that'd be so sick.
I think that's where I was struggling, because this is the first competitive play event that they've shown pricing for. Everything else is technically in the casual play umbrella. Like store showdowns is still casual play. And so the fact that the pricing for this is just a rinse repeat of the store showdowns, like the card selection aside, for me that was the come on now. And I agree. I think there's something to be said for something that's just on the table that you can put in a nice fancy case to protect it and show like, hey, this is cool. It doesn't change the deck at all. It's just a way to kind of flex a little bit. I like the base idea a lot too, because it's just more flexible to actually get to utilize, rather than the leader means that you're playing that deck. So that limits your ability there. So
I mean,
I'm confused. It feels like the low-hanging fruit of we picked bounty, we picked capture. Those are the two big new mechanics, and that's what we're gonna ride into battle with.
I don't want to get like too negative on this, but also like this is the closest this Star Wars Unlimited has felt to this being like old FFG in a way, where it's just like a little bit out of touch and could have been so much cooler, but for some reason is this way. So I really hope that they take feedback from the community about this, because I've seen a lot of chatter online about this stuff, and you know, hopefully they use that to improve the experience moving forward. But we have one more thing that they showed off here, which is this interesting looking initiative token, and it's got the Planetary Qualifier symbol on it, and it's got Star Wars Unlimited on the other side, and it's a bit hard to tell like what it looks like and feels like from this. They did say it was plastic, so thankfully it's not just like a piece of cardboard, which it kind of looks like a piece of cardboard in the image, but
it does look like the cardboard cutouts, but I'm kind of cool with that. I kind of like the, hey, let's take it back to the roots, but like make it nice. I like the simplicity of it. I like that, again, it's something that just goes out onto the board that you get to kind of show off.
This is probably the coolest thing that you can get, honestly, out of this thing, because...
I'm not saying, and this is for top 4.
This is for top 4, because it's unique. It's like the thing that you I don't know. It feels like the only thing that you can get from this. I mean, I know that there are other things that are the only thing that you can get from this, but this is the first time that they've introduced a special token like this in this format. It seems very cool. So
Yeah, because outside of this with Gamegenic, it's just been each set has its own initiative token.
And this doesn't seem like the same as those in terms of like the way it's printed or anything like that.
Right. And I actually do like the idea for the Planetary Qualifier being the top, piece of the quadrant. I like the kind of level up ability of showing off like, hey, this is where I got this from. I think that part's really cool. I like that it's subtle, it's not in your face, and people that know, just like you were saying earlier with the mat. And so that part I actually really like. I like the simplicity of the design. So yeah, like you said, this to me was the favorite thing that I saw today.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts here?
No, I mean, last thoughts is I really, like you said, I don't want to be overly negative. I really don't. I want, this game to be a huge success. I want the competitive scene to have a reason to grind, a reason to really, get into that like groupthink box of, okay, what's the best here? Like, how do we really maximize this game? To me, that part's really fun. I know there's so many hilarious and awesome stories around the kitchen tables of the decks that you threw together, but I also really love the competitive scene. So I want to see it succeed. I want to see this really take off and, just hit the ground running. And so I'm trying to give a little bit of grace with it being, season 0. We're figuring things out. And I think it's important to share your thoughts. I think it's important to say, like, hey, here's what I think would be appropriate. And obviously you can't ask for showcases for every participant. Like, that's silly. But I think so far what we've heard is they're very receptive to feedback. And I think to give the positives and the negatives is healthy, but also to continue to want to support. So what about yourself? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I think if they've shown nothing, it is that they listen to the community feedback and make adjustments. So that's part of the reason why making a video like this, I think, is important, and, sharing our feedback, and, hopefully that reflects our audience's feedback. And let us know what you think about this set of prizes. Let us know what you think about the Planetary Qualifiers in general. And they did reveal a card on the stream, but we're not going to talk about it here. We'll talk about it in another video. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel. And that's it. We'll see you guys on the next video.
Bye, y'all.